working and designing for him when he first came to Nike, right? So this is Air Zoom Vic 2, right? So we had the success with the first shoe, and the discussion was, what are we gonna do next, right? And I remember him saying, we sat at the table, he said, man, look at all this, man, we're blessed. You know what I'm saying? We're blessed, right? And he reminded me how happy he was to be in this position, not realizing I'm just as happy as him, right? So we start talking about things like, well, who is he and how special he was and how the entire nation was watching him as a prototypical quarterback and what it meant to be him. Because guess what? Everything he was doing on the field was spectacular, and people wanted a part of it. So my thing was, got to find out, what is he doing? Now, mind you, look at the year. Look at the year. So at that time, I'm going cutting magazine articles, clips, stuff from ESPN. He had a deal with Nerf. He's doing all kinds of things.
And this would be consumer research.
Right. So what they consider to be now, we're doing, because I have to do it myself.
Yep.
Side note, nobody's teaching me how to do it, so I have to learn how to do it on my own.
Yep.
Right? Now, mind you, I have counterparts who write a brief. If you ask me, this page that my counterparts wrote, it's a good brief. It's basic, but that doesn't make me want to wake up and design anything. So I have to say to myself, what am I going to create that's going to make me want to get up and design something amazing for him, right? So after this brief is done, I start thinking about, what do I want this shoe to be? Well, you know what? Here's my inspirations and my insights. I want it to look clear when it's moving fast at high speeds, but I want it to be blurry while standing still, almost like these boats, right? I think that's an oxymoron. Doesn't make sense, does it?
Right.
But that's how I see it.
Okay.
Because that's the beauty of design. You challenge yourself, right? Then it's got to be intimidating. It's got to be mysterious, right? You got to create a stance. People got to look at it and go like, ooh, right? The average shoe does this. My shoes do this, right? They got to stare back at you, right? So my thing is, what is lightweight power? What does that mean, right? Lightning is lightweight power, right? SR-71 Blackbird is lightweight power, right? Ford GT40, lightweight power. So are motorcycles. So are planes. So are cheetahs. And I'm like, I need the psychology of all these things to get me there, right? So I start sketching. And this was the year that Atlanta had changed their uniform for the first time, right? So I was super excited. I'm like, okay, great. This is going to be awesome. So my thing was, whatever their uniform looks like, my product has to absolutely match and look like it is complete with the uniform that they're going to get. It can't be separate. This is before guys start having pink, orange, blue, crazy looking cleats, tiger stripes, all that. Nah, we like it to just be complete to the uniform, right? Clean, sharp, looking good. No offense to other guys. So I start the creation process, and as we're sketching, you start realizing, hey man, there's a lot happening here, right? And before you know it, we're saying, okay, you know what, E? It looks like we're going to use shocks. And we're starting to look at the different ideas. Still want to get the stance right. Still want to get the ideas right, because it's got to look like it fits him and like it goes with him, right? So we sketch some more, and we're still going. And for me, it's like, I got to make sure that this guy is locked in and that, you know what, the shoe's going to protect him. Because a lot of times he would either let his straps just dangle, or he would wear his shoe kind of loose. But I'm like, I got to lock this guy down. So I'm thinking about all these different ideas. Here's the shocks pattern. I lay out the actual pattern. This is by hand, not computer. I was like, okay, E, this is going to be the basis? Yeah. So then I hand illustrate this, and I say, okay, I think this is it. But the week that I did this drawing, because Mike hadn't even seen it yet, they told me, E, we just did a test, what they call a FEA test, right? They needed to know from a finite engineering analysis, is this going to work or not? And they said shocks is actually not good for the sport that he does. You got to switch over to Zoom. I'm like, deal. I can switch, right? So all of that goes off the table. I get to restart. Okay, let's restart again. So now I'm sketching, and I'm thinking about, how do I bring the Zoom bag in, right? And as I'm sketching that out, I'm thinking I want to kind of show the bag through the actual frame in the heel so you can see everything. And a lot of stuff's going through my head, right? You look at the back of the sports car. How do I get that look? I want this look in the back of my shoe, right? Or I want to get that same look here, right? So I'm thinking about all these ideas. Still thinking sleek and rugged. And in that process, I'm still thinking about stance. I'm still thinking about energy. And all these things, I'm thinking it's got to be fast, but I got to protect them, right? So a lot of sketches. I go with a whole lot of ideas. And so my thing is this. Visually, it has to be iconic. So I have to make sure when you see it at about 10 paces, 20 paces, 30 paces, you can tell exactly what it is. Even though he's this big on your television screen, you can tell exactly what's on his foot. Like, I know exactly what that shoe is, right? It's not easy. It's called the 1-2 punch. Most designers overlook that. It's one of the hardest, but one of the most rewarding things you can do if you know how to design sneakers right? So, as you can see, I'm coming up with different ideas, right? I'm thinking, I wonder if I did the headphones. You know, headphones go around your head. What if I did that around the back of the heel, right? So I start, trying everything because I can. And I'm thinking about reflexology and thinking about air intake so you can get air into the actual shoe, right? So when he's moving, air actually goes in. Oh, look, I actually pulled that off. That's amazing. Can't even believe I did that. Right? So we're thinking about, again, his frame has to be fast, it has to be sleek, and I start drawing more ideas, and I'm, you know what, I think I'm close, and I'm like, I'm almost there. Ooh, I'm almost there. And one thing Mike was really good at is moving super fast. So he would run, and he'd see a guy coming, he'd dip out, and the guy would commit to that, and he'd dip back in and go straight, and I'm like, that's the fake you outline right there. So that survived and actually made the cut. So all the little things to tell the story actually became a part of the actual shoe. We go a little further, right? Of course, got some tickets in there. Went to go see him, see what's happening, right? Got the team picture. And I noticed how popular he was in ESPN's poll back in the day. 50.7 rating. That's pretty good. That means the entire country was watching him, right? You're thinking, this is huge. But what I realized more was he was more than just a quarterback. His mental, psychological, physical, his focus, his instinct, his speed, his spirituality, again, his assessment, his intelligence. You can't be an NFL quarterback and not be smart. It's impossible. So when you hear stuff like dumb jock, don't listen to that. That's the biggest lie in the world. That's a hard job. It's an extremely hard job. I challenge anybody to do it for a day. They'd be hurt. Mentally, they'd be hurt. But I say all that to say, thinking about what his needs were and what I was going to create for him, I realized how close I was getting in the design. I'm like, I think I got it. I think I know what I'm going to do, right? It felt pretty good. And before you know it, I illustrated it, got in front of Mike, said, hey, Mike, what do you think? He goes, I love it. I said, well, if you love it, you have to sign it. So he goes, all right, man, let's go, right? So he signs it. My friend Mike DeTulo, fellow designer, and actually big popular designer now in the design world. I said, Mike, I need a car to go with my shoe. Mike draws this for me, and I'm like, that's awesome. I'm putting it in the book. So I always get a guest designer out of something. It's awesome.
Shout out.
And shout out to Jason Maiden, who is the actually brand creator of Brand Jordan right now. He's the main guy, right? He actually designed that logo in V7. So that's actually Jason as a young upstart at Nike. So it just goes to show you, everybody's important and everybody has a value in the process, right? Now, of course, we get into the technical specifications of the shoe and the materials. And yes, I drew that by hand. That's not done by computer. Nor is this or this or this or that or this or this or that, right? So that means, you know what? You got to sit down and you got to be really, really good at your craft. And you got to know how big it is, how long it is, how wide it is, how hard it should be, how it should go together, the entire bit. I got the privilege of sitting down and doing that work. As people saying, standing on business. And that's what I was doing, right? Now, the best part is, now we getting down to the home stretch. I know what the two main colors are going to be. Brand comes to me and says, hey, we want to make some stuff to go, to kind of promote it. I'm like, great, whatever you need. And, of course, I make the cover of the Nike catalog for Holiday 2004, which is a super hard thing to do. So that made me super happy because I'm like, oh, my gosh, I made the catalog. A friend of mine was in New York and said, bruh, I don't know if you know, you were right down at the Apollo. They got you up on the billboard for the Michael Vick experience. So that's when I recognized, wow, what I do, it spans so far beyond my hands, it blows your mind. And here's the thing. If you thought that this was something, all of this, Nikki has seen this happen in this studio. We've had mentors and chaperones come in the studio, see this shoe, pick it up and say, and I quote, I played in this shoe in high school. I had this shoe. And then Nikki goes, E.Scott designed that. They literally run to me and hug me like I'm a parent. Oh my gosh, you were part of my childhood. Man, you don't understand how much this means to me. And I'm like, I do now. You know what I mean? I do now.